Hey copper nerds, today our budget, it really is unlimited. We're going to be looking at the finest copper available on the market. We're going to be looking at a number of coins that were owned by the legendary Walter Husak. You're going to get to meet Walt during this video as well, so let's just gather up all the money we can find and let's go shopping.
Unfortunately, I didn't bring any coins because I sold my collection, and the coins I do have, I left them downstairs.
This was one of Walt's coins. We're going to see a lot of Walt's coins today. This is a fun and exciting segment. I don't know exactly where it's going to take us, but I do expect that we're going to be looking at some coins that were owned by Walt Husak, and we're going to do a little bit of digging into those.
Come to the EAC convention. Why are you here?
To meet a lot of friends and finding some nice coins and enjoying my new young customers, which these young people are looking at my collection, which is on the Liberty Cap Foundation website. And this collection, you know, I sold off in 2008, and I still have the sense of taking photographs of them and enjoying them today.
We're going to get started is an eBay search for large cents within that $100,000 to $500,000 range. Certainly there's other copper potentially out there, although in my preliminary searches, I didn't see much. So we're going to focus on large cents, and then I'm going to supplement a little bit with some other types afterwards. And I know that I'm going to be showing off two coins above the $500,000 mark, one of which is a half cent. So let's just dive right into some of the finest copper coins on the market. Up first, we have a 1796 Liberty Cap large cent in an MS63 brown slab with a CAC sticker. Obverse is very nice. Not perfect. Reverse looks great as well. Obverse has got, you know, some toning impairment, a couple of trivial fly specks, but a very, very nice coin. Looks like we've got a double cut 0 there. I don't collect 96 as a year, so I don't know a lot about these, but let's just take a look at this one and see if we see anything that jumps out at us. I don't know what's going on there. That is does not look to be damaged to me. Probably either a die issue or a strike through, but I can't tell if that's raised or sunken. Yeah, this has definitely been fiddled with a little bit, I would say. Looks like we have some scratches that are sort of toned over. But a real sharp coin and a tough variety. And this one's going to run $103,500, very bottom of our budget. Up next, we've got a 1794 Liberty Cap S65 shielded hair obverse. We've talked a little bit about this particular obverse in the last couple of videos, and this one is in a middle die state where we start to have the crack coming in through the 9. There is another crack that's going to go through the 1 as the crack on the reverse progresses. This is a really nice coin. It's definitely had some corrosion that has been, I don't know, mitigated perhaps. That's what the red is representing there, is some cuprous oxide, most likely. Surfaces are kind of mottled. I can't tell if that's, what was our grade on this again? They're saying MS64 brown. So probably somewhat weakly struck up in here, but lots of bag marks too. It's a cool coin. We definitely see some die spalling or something going across the middle here, some die deterioration. But really neat example. Again, bottom of our budget, $103,500. Here we have another very nice wreath scent. $105,000 will get you this one. Obverse has a few spots. Color's kind of been fiddled with. Corrosion has been removed here. So we've had some corrosion removal and some spot recoloring, I would say. We got some bag marks here and there. Neat clash marks under the chin. Beaded border is quite nice, perhaps struck slightly out of alignment. Yeah, it looks like maybe just some misaligned dies on the reverse where we lose the beaded border up in this area. And then it's gonna come back in with a little bit of rim to spare around the outside, but the obverse looks rather well centered. Well, slightly shifted as well. Very cool coin though, despite its minor issues. $105,000. Here's another wreath cent in that same price range, within $1,000. This one is slabbed MS63 brown. So same grade. We've got some, I think that was the same grade. Some minor planchet issues here and there, which is to be expected on these. Really nice uniform brown surfaces. Maybe some a trivial scratch right there, but remarkable, very nice. Couple little dings here and there. A little bit of wear on the cheek, it looks like, and on the temple, but not much not to like about this one at $106,000. Here we have a MS65 Plus Brown Sheldon 267 Drape Bust large cent. Pretty immaculate, guys. Pretty immaculate. We see some nice flow lines on these fairly worn dies. In terms of problems or damage, there's just really not much to report. Kind of the same story on the reverse. T is interesting, where the right foot is sort of missing. Yeah, this is exceptional. Very, very nice. $110,300. Here we have a Sheldon 29. It's an MS64 brown with a CAC sticker. Looks like we have a little bit of a die break going to the nose and under the cap. And then on the reverse, we'll see the long right ribbon tail. And that's upside down, so let's just keep going. Look at that. Some more crack running interior, but circumference. I have realized after my buddy Numis Stacker mentioned that he was corrected that these are not radial die cracks when they go around. A radial crack runs from the center out. They're a circumference crack when they start to run around the outside. This one's not exactly that, but it does sort of run around the lower left of the obverse here. But we've also got some other signs of die fatigue and failure, just kind of everywhere. Anyway, long right ribbon tail. Oh, a little ding right there. This long right ribbon tail diagnostic is fun. You're only going to see that on the reverse of the Sheldon 29 and 30. We've got some pretty visible clash marks here. Looks like we've got Liberty's hair, top of her head, and then some spalling on the dies. This is a pretty late die state example, I do believe. And $110,300 for this one, MS64 brown with a CAC sticker. Here we have a Sheldon 1 Amorai or a Mary chain cent. This one is slabbed as an AU Details obverse scratched. which is what I was looking for there, because there's plenty of scratches on it. On a chain scent, on an S1 chain scent, I'm far more concerned about the reverse. So we'll see how that held up. But the obverse, despite the scratches, they've really sort of avoided the portrait of Liberty, other than a few dings. And I guess if you had to have scratches somewhere, I'd rather have them in the fields than on the primary devices. All right, reverse on this one. That is a planchet lamination problem. This coin appears to still have original red inside of the chain and in some of the protected areas. Of course, here's what we want to see. AMERI dot, short for America. This is my favorite reverse in the entire series of US coinage. And this is one that I would buy for the reverse. And I really like it. It's got everything I want to see. A little bit of red. It's got a planchet defect, which I like. Again, I think that it's sort of like an individual unique fingerprint. When you have something funky with the planchet, it also helps tell the story about how primitive the technology was when we were making our first coins, and just what a fly-by-night kind of operation the original mint was. This is a fantastic coin. I love it. $120,000. This is probably going to be one of my favorites of the day. But we have a lot to go in terms of monetary range. We're still at the very bottom of this segment. We've got another draped bust. This one is a 1799, so that's going to be your key date within the draped bust series. They're all very rare. This one is slabbed as a VF 35 straight grade. It's going to run you $120,000. We've got another S1 chain scent. This one's an AU50. Some planchet weirdness over here. Kind of a weaker strike, I think. Less damage, but still some damage than the last one that we looked at. On the reverse, fairly uniform brown, a little bit of schmutz inside of the chain that I think could easily be conserved out with acetone and in the letters. Even though this one has less damage than the last one we looked at, I much prefer the one we saw before to this one. $141,800 for this AU50 S1. Here we have another S1. This one's going to be at $150,000. Its slab is also at AU50. I can already tell I prefer this one to the one that we just looked at. Some bag marks on the obverse, but not much to not like. Looks like some clash marks in there. Little planchet issue. Well, maybe some scratches, actually. That's maybe a scratch. And that is for sure. On the reverse. Some unfortunate damage here. Probably just improper storage. Pretty good rim ding. Yeah, I still prefer the one that we looked at 2 coins ago for S1s. This one is $150,000. An incredible coin. I like this photo a little better. Looks like we might still have some red in those protected areas. But yeah, it's nice to see sort of the top end of our chain scents now in this price range. Here's a Sheldon 92 MS65 Plus brown. We have a doubled profile. I don't know if this is, it's just double struck, huh? Let's see where all we can find that doubling. Definitely on the neck and profile. Also on the Y, it's apparent. I'm not going to speculate as to whether this was related to hubbing versus striking. I don't know my drape busts well enough, but we definitely have a doubled profile there. And since this is Rare Coin Wholesalers, I don't expect they're going to tell us much of anything about it. They're going to tell us nothing about this specific coin. It's one thing that I find, I don't know, less than optimal. If I was this dealer, I would certainly have some descriptions about the coins in the pedigree and a little bit about what they are. And if it's not attributed on the slab, they don't do any attributions. And I did make a couple of calls to see if I could find out a little bit more about their operation for this project. Never got a call back, so kind of is what it is. But they've got phenomenal inventory, whether or not they want to talk to me. And we're going to feature their coins because they're out here in the public realm and we're showing off what we could buy from them in these price ranges. There's really no one else on the planet that has this high end of an inventory. I would have liked to have been able to tell you a little bit more about this dealer. Anyway, looking at this 1798 draped bust, beautiful coin, some cracks right there at the bottom by the fraction, and then of course some going through the field on the obverse in front of Liberty's face. Very, very nice coin. It was an MS65 brown with a CAC sticker. This would have been part of Ted Nafsker's collection as well as Tom Reynolds. And I can probably find it in Tom Reynolds' book. Let me grab it. Sheldon 187. So I've got the Tom Reynolds collection here. Let's see if this one was in his sale. All right, this is gonna be cool. So let's take a look at, we got four little dark spots right there. We're gonna see those right here. And, you know, fly speck on that crack, we're gonna see it right there. This is definitely the same coin. Tom Reynolds collection catalog is gonna tell us this was a penny whimsy plate coin for the Sheldon 187. Description is lustrous light steel brown and tan with a few small puffs of darker steel brown toning over the lower half of the obverse and a peep of faded mint color on the reverse. Mint frost covers this scent and the eye appeal is outstanding. They valued this one at $30,000 or up at the time that it sold. X. James Clark, Dr. Sheldon, Ted Nafsker, Eric Striner J. Perino, and included the Nafsker collection envelope. Now, I don't know if they have the envelope here because it's not shown, but that's definitely the same coin. This was a 2016 sale. I don't have the price as realized, but $161,700 on this one. I'm gonna jump out of this segment and I'm gonna scroll down to the bottom. Part of what's going on is that Rare Coin Wholesalers doesn't list the word large cent in their listings. So I've got results matching fewer words that is going to be the same types of coins again from this same dealer. I'm going to start at the bottom here and work up, and then we'll sort of converge at the highest end of both segments because I don't have a better way to search this stuff. So here is a Dan Holmes coin. I've got that catalog too. Let's grab it. So here is one of my Dan Holmes collection catalogs. To do a fun little preview, I got a hard copy of this one in plastic for myself, as well as his error catalog in plastic. We're gonna bust that out and check out what's in that catalog in another video. But for now, Sheldon 287. The Dan Holmes catalog is just a wonderful reference, full of great coins and great photos. Sheldon 287, getting way towards the end of the book on this one. 284, 286. Here we go. Gem 1811 Turban Head, Sheldon 287. So again, a Sheldon plate coin, frosty steel brown and chocolate with underlying very faded mint red remaining in the protected areas, mostly on the reverse. Satiny mint luster covers both sides. The only defect is a tiny speck of carbon or verdigris tucked against the left edge of the lower point of the star 11. Yeah, that is a good point. Sometimes you have carbon spots just from impurities in the copper that may appear similar to those spit marks, but when you see spit marks, you see spit marks. So that is definitely the same coin. This one, they estimated the value to be $50,000 and up. I don't have a price list. I used to have one for a minute when we did our 750 subscriber giveaway. We gave away some original hardcover Holmes catalogs and a bunch of Bob Grellman related books and things, including that price list. But we have got the laundry list of pedigree on this one. Ted Nafsker being a name that jumps out. Lester Merkin, Jack Wadlington, Bob Grellman, and Chris McCauley. Very cool coin. $147,000 for that one. What's next? Here we have a 1797 drape bust MS65 plus red brown holder, $115,500. Yeah, we're seeing this Scarface again. That must be as produced. It's the third time we've seen it in this series. I don't know my drape bust very well, so I guess that's something that I'm learning or making an assumption is as produced, since we've seen several. This one's got some great red showing through on both sides. Super nice coin. Absolutely incredible. MS65 plus red brown. This one's also being offered by Rare Coin Wholesalers. And I should note, I will gladly do a follow-up video to talk a little bit more about this dealer if they do reach out to me, but I did leave 2 messages and a voicemail for a callback and never got one. So we're just going to keep looking at their inventory. I wish I could tell you a bit more about them. I just don't have much information beyond what's on the website. I know it's a multi-generational family business. I know they have the largest value inventory on the planet. And they've got some great coins. I just wish they would put a little more information about these great coins for those of us looking at them, because again, our description is stuff like nothing. Sort of a generic history on the type of coin, but nothing about the coin itself. Typically nothing about varieties, again, unless it's on the slab. And this one's not. They did not do an attribution on this one. We just know it's a 100 over 000, it says, but a 1 over, oh, I see. So it's a 1 over 000 corrected with a 1. That's a really neat situation there. Oftentimes they just left the 000 alone. Here they made the effort to punch a 1 back over that. That's funny that someone got confused enough to do 1 over 000s for their fractions, but not sure what our education system was like in Philadelphia back in the late 1700s and early 1800s, but not the strongest work on fractions for for the Drape Bust series. That is a really, really neat 1 over 0. Just a great coin. MS64 plus brown, couple of minor little spots. That die break there is cool. CAC sticker on it. Love it. $115,500. Okay, Sheldon 46, head of 1794, MS64 plus red brown. Nice late but not terminal die state on this one. Nice. Got a sort of unfortunate scratch across the cheek and under the nose. I love what we're seeing with the coloring here as the red is turning brown. It's just a super neat coin. Those die breaks. Okay. The reverse is lovely. We're always going to see that chip through E. This thing is stellar. Well, it should come as no surprise that when I pull out Walt Husak's second sale catalog, this was Walt and his Liberty Cap Foundation, that this was one of Walt's coins. We're going to see a lot of Walt's coins today. That's why I'm so excited about this segment, as I knew that Rare Coin Wholesalers had a pretty large inventory of Walt Husak coins, and Walt was a very special collector. He had the finest coins in early copper available. He was very active in the EAC community, very active in education. He started the Liberty Cap Foundation to bring education to numismatics with a special focus on Liberty Cap early large cents. And he was just a heck of a collector, and I have seen videos of him being excited about very inexpensive coins that he just thought were interesting, you know, this caliber kind of stuff.
United States of, and that's what the die cut is, and it says America afterwards.
Approximate value?
Oh, it's only like $80 to $100.
So people really don't care that much about value. It's more of the interest of the area.
Interest, that's right. Right.
Hi everybody, we're here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at the Early American Copper's 50th convention. We're at the Happening, which is a gathering where the first night of the convention, there's different rooms set up for all the different areas that are collected by the Early American Copper's people. And we're going into the room of large cent collecting to find out what kind of really cool items they have in large cents. Well, there's definitely a lot of large cent collectors. The room is filled. A lot of people at the tables. Let's find out some of the cool items. Well-known collector Walter Husak. Walter,
Okay.
what are you looking at, and what's the cool coin?
Well,
large cents?
the large cent here is the Sheldon 170. It's a 1798, and we have like 4 of them to choose from to figure out what's the best, the most likable coin that you want to put in your own collection. And I'm going to start looking at them right now. We have one here that's pretty nice. It's like I'd say a 30, 35 coin. Chocolate looking, a little nice. We have another one here that's, and this one's like a VG coin. You know, could actually, you know, net VG, but it's probably a fine 12. Now here's one slab. It's a very fine 25. And that particular coin I would probably grade as a fine 12. And it needs to be broken out, but people are happy with this, and they need to be taken care of, preserved a little bit more. Now here's one that, oh, it's an MS62 brown. The latest label on there. And I would call this basically an AU55. An AU55, this is a great coin. It's one of the finest known, I believe. Yes, so I'm gonna do my work here. Okay, number 4. Number 1, number 3, and number 2.
And what are you actually doing?
We're giving a score of what's the best coins that we believe that on the Sheldon 170, we have 4 of them. And sometimes you'll have up to 12 coins you have to go through. This particular set is only 4 right now. And what you're looking for is the quality of the coin and its appearance. And then you give your score on this piece of paper, and the owners of the coin will basically get their score in 2 days or maybe in a couple weeks on what their score is on the coins that they brought. Unfortunately, I didn't bring any coins because I sold my collection, and the coins I do have, I left them downstairs.
So to be able to show off Walt's coins is something I've been looking forward to since the beginning of this project. And this is that video. It's going to be long. I'm going to look at all of Walt's stuff. I'll probably find some clips to insert of Walt along the way. So I guess sit back and relax. I'm going to be taking my time on this video, and it could end up being really long. But let's take a look at Walt's Sheldon 46X Oswald. So Lord St. Oswald collection, was an English collection where a handful of 1794 cents fresh from the mint went over to England to be part of this collection. All right. Lustrous mint red fading to bluish steel brown and olive with at least a third of the planchet showing underlying mint color, mostly on the obverse. A gem scent, if not for a couple light contact marks on the cheek and cap. The reverse is pristine, nicely centered on a choice planchet, sharply struck medium to late dye state Heck, dye state 3, Breen dye state 4, with numerous die cracks on the obverse, but the small internal cud break at the top of the 4 has not yet formed. That's what I was referencing. It did not have the internal cud just yet. Graded MS65 choice and finest known in the noise census, his photo 21576. We'll take a look at that. Del Bland said MS62 and condition census 1 in his census. And the cataloger, which is Bob Grellman, who actually sent me this catalog. This cataloger's EAC grade is MS64. This is the noise plate coin for the variety in his 1991 reference, a remarkably well-preserved cent from the famous St. Oswald group of mint state cents. The attribution is noted on the PCGS Gold Shield label, PCGS Population 1, none finer. So we have X Strickland collection, which is the going through Charles Wynne, Roland Wynne, 1st Baron St. Oswald, Roland Wynne, the 2nd Baron St. Oswald, Roland George Wynne, the 3rd Baron St. Oswald, Roland Dennis Guy Wynne, Major, the Lord St. Oswald, went through Christie's to Tony Terranova to Ted Nafsker, Eric Striner, Anthony J. Terranova, so Tony Terranova, and Dr. Thomas Turricini, and then to the Liberty Cap Foundation, which is Walt's foundation. The eldest son of George Strickland, Sir George Strickland, William Strickland of Yorkshire, England, was born February 19th, 1753, died January 8th, 1834. A little more history about the family, but the coins from his collection are known today as the St. Oswald coins, and they remain in remarkable condition. Well, let's take a look at this one in noise as well. Here we are. So here's our coin here. There it is again there. Here it is here, finest known, MS65, net MS60, noises grade choice, and then Oswald stacks, TT must be Terry Terranova. We're going to be looking at several more Husak coins here, so we'll be doing sort of this same process each time. Again, I'm in no hurry on this video. I'm going to really enjoy looking at these coins with you. Just marvelous, 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 marvelous. $210,000. We have an 1807/6 draped bust cent, MS66 brown. Very nice coin, kind of frosty. $147,000. 1801 MS63 red brown, Sheldon 221. So this is the 100/000 again. Not the same one we've looked at. This one's got a few more fly specks going on, but a lot of red. That's a nice coin at $120,800. Here we are with another 1794 cent. This one's a Sheldon 28, Doug Bird collection. Very nice coin. Very, very nice coin. What'd they call this one? MS64 brown with a CAC sticker. Yeah, definitely brown. Definitely, not quite the coin we just finished looking at with Walt's Sheldon 46, but still a great coin. A little bit of red, that's going to be as a result of some corrosion, and $110,300 on this one. 1804 draped bust. This is the other key date for our Drake Bus series is 1804. Big old cut on the reverse. Looks like some red in the protected areas, but fading. They're calling it AU55, $215,300. Here we have a glorious, glorious 1793 cap. This is one that I was going to kind of save for the end, but hey, since we're here, and let's look at it. So this is going to be a Sheldon 14, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think are they going to tell us? Yeah, they'll tell us on the slab. All of these have this bisecting crack. So this crack developed when they were doing heat treat on the die, and you have significant offset where this side is lower than this side, where this side sunk, sort of. This would have been the correct original plane on this side. Fantastic example. Absolutely fantastic. This is going to have that same reverse die that was later reworked for the 1794 Sheldon 63 Fallen 4, where they added dentals in place of where these beads are, resulting in a very heavily dentalated, both obverse but reverse die. Big giant teeth on that one. And your devices, as they resurface that die, we start to lose some of the shallow details. I really like this reverse die, and I love this obverse die. This is probably my favorite variety of Liberty Cap. Let's take a quick look and see if this happened to be one of Walt's coins. I don't know that it was.
Oh, this is the bisecting crack. Thanks, Mark. One of my favorites, the lip cap, the 1793 lip cap in great condition, great shape in AU50. Let's do it, ladies. Yeah, 77,000, 90,000 now, 95, 90,000 now, 95,000, 90 here, now to go to 95, 95 in the back row, now to 100,000, Megan 10, now to go to 120, I'm at 120,000, Megan has it right now, and she keeps it at 120,000.
And it was. So Doug Bird, the name Doug Bird of Santa Monica, California, appeared in the July 1973 issue of Pennywise as a new member of the Early American Coppers Club. If you're not a member, you should join. I'm member number 7062. The same issue carried a bunch of other prominent EAC members, including Larry Goldberg, which must be Goldberg Auctions, Bill Noyes, whose book we looked at earlier, Herbert Oshner, Mel Wex, Charles Wormser. So this was Doug Bird's coin, described as that AU50 by PCGS, choice glossy medium chocolate brown and steel, smooth and nearly flawless with light wear on the high points and great eye appeal. Trivial notable marks, bisecting die crack on the obverse is strong. Fields and device on the left side of the crack are clearly on a higher plane than the ones on the right side, as I was just discussing. Subtle bulge in the field at the NT and cent. A marvelous Liberty Cap cent, graded extra fine 40 by Del Bland, tied for condition census 2. Noyes called it an extra fine 40 and tied for condition census 2. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Noyes photo. So that's going to be our coin right here. DFB is Doug Bird, calling it an XF40. Just a lovely, lovely coin. One of my favorite coins in existence. And this one is an MS50, AU50, MS50. Reading there. AU50 plus and $367,500, near the top of our budget. In fact, I think it's about as high as we're going to actually see in our $500,000 budget, except for the couple of bonuses that are going to be above that amount. Just a fantastic coin. I'm going to follow it. I like it. Let's check out this S2. Dark but lovely. No real problems to speak of. This thing's super, super nice. What should we not like? Is there anything we should not like? MS62 plus brown. S2 chain set. We do not have an S2 in Walt's most recent catalog, although we do have the S1 that you may recognize from the end of my videos. I'm just going to double check that this wasn't part of Walt's first sale back in '08. And no, this does not appear to be the same coin. Walt's example was slightly nicer, but a wonderful chain scent. Absolutely wonderful chain scent. S2 MS62 Plus Brown, $341,300 on this one. Super cool. 1796, the second one we've seen so far. Liberty Cap Large Cent. Beautiful coin. MS63 Plus Brown, Sheldon 84, according to the slab, $112,900. From the D. Brent Pogue collection, this MS65 Plus Brown CAC stickered Sheldon 179 is quite lovely. 1798, draped bust, large cent, $161,700. Here we have a Sheldon 26, severed locks, MS66 Plus Brown. Look at that. Something going on in the B. The most trivial of nicks here and there. This is your divided date obverse. And this one appears to be in late enough die state that we should see some cracks. There we go. Crack through E forms first. Here's one of mine. It's got the crack through E. This is like the lowest attributable Sheldon 26 out there. And yeah, I just mishandled it, but I don't care too much about that one. And then you have the crack through S developing second. If you see a crack through S, it's going to be either a Sheldon 32, if there is no crack through E, or a Sheldon 26, which will always have the crack through E. This is in a fairly late die state. We have a lot of clash marks happening here on the reverse as well. That's going to be the cap clashing a couple of times there with rotation. We're going to see some of the hair details clashing over there. This is a really, really nice coin. I'll do a Husak check again because I think that this particular dealer bought a lot of coins from the Husak collection. And what do you know? There we are. Funky stuff in the B. The little nick underneath of in front of the neck, under the chin. So same coin for certain. Let's learn a little bit more about it. Choice lustrous steel brown, satiny mint frost covers this scent, and the eye appeal is outstanding. Sharply struck and well centered on a nearly flawless planchet. A small planchet chip on the right of the top of the B in Liberty is the only notable defect, so that is a chip. Thank you, Bob. This would have been written by Bob Grellman, by the way. Intermediate die state, Heck die state 7, Breen state 5. Numerous die cracks and clash marks. The radial crack through the S in states now reaches the top of the C in cent. So yeah, that's a proper use of radial, coming from the middle and out. You have heard me misuse that term in the past as referring to one that goes around the outside of the coin, which is circumference crack rather than radial crack. Keep in mind, I'm just a student, you guys. I do this for fun. I never claim expertise. I'm just trying to learn and learn with you guys, and that's what we're doing here. Graded MS62 is going to be condition census number 3 in the noise census. His photo number 21496. We'll pull that out in a second. Del Bland gave this one MS60 and tied for 3rd in his census as well. And Bob Grellman gives this an EAC grade of MS62. This is the noise plate coin for the variety. Let's look at that. Condition census 3 should be this one right there. And it is the plate coin. So here it is, right here. Very cool. Very cool coin. MS66 Plus Brown. Yeah, just lovely. And in fact, I want to look at the pedigree, so let's jump back into this catalog again. Bob Grellman, our cataloger, is right there. And this auction was done through Early Sense Auctions, who we featured for most of these videos. That would be Chris McCauley, who we've talked about. And then Chris and Bob have Lucas and Lyle and Travis working with them. And I've purchased several coins through Lucas. Let's go back to that 26. So Elmer Sears, Henry Sternberg, J.C. Morgenthau and Company, B. Max Mel. Cool, we've talked about Max quite a bit. James Clark, Max Mel again, Dr. Sheldon, Ted Nasker, went through the EAC sale, Tony Terranova's had it, and Thomas Turricini, and then the Liberty Cap Foundation, which was Walt's.
You must be Walter.
Yes, I am.
Your phone call got me a little excited. So this is it.
That is the half Disney. The other is the Libertas.
This is pretty damn amazing. The half Disney could be considered the first American coin.
Yes, very rare piece. Very rare.
One of the things I don't get about early American coins, were eagles that skinny back then?
We didn't feed them very much. I'm here to sell these two really, really rare coins, the half Disney and the Libertas. I really love collecting the coins, but I need to sell a couple of them off so I can buy some other ones at an auction.
Very cool. Very cool. $288,800 on this one. Magnificent coin. What do we got next? Eeny meeny, they're both 18Bs. Let's start with this one. At $241,500, we have this Sheldon 18B, which is going to be a head of 93 with a double chin. Let's see if this was one of Walt's or not. So this would not have been in Walt's second sale. Would not have been in Walt's first sale either. So we don't know anything about the pedigree on this one, unless it's mentioned here. Nope. $241,500 on that one. Can't tell you much about it. Not much info provided. Here we have another 18B. Super nice coin. Let's do the same check. Okay, this does not appear to be the same coin. No on that one. But let's see if we can pin down either of these in Bill Noyes' book. That's my 18A. Okay. On this one, I'm just looking for those spots under the chin, assuming those have been there long term. I'm also looking for the super freckly one that we just looked at a moment ago. I'm not seeing either of these coins. I don't believe. I'm going to double check this one more time. Could be one of our many no photo available examples. So this one's $315,000 MS63 Brown. Let's revisit this other one just to make sure we're not seeing that one in here. And yeah, I am not. This one I thought maybe, but as I go back, they're not the same pattern. Different spit patterns. Okay, so that's all I can tell you on these ones. We're gonna head back up to this Jefferson head and work our way back down. I know we've got some more of Walt's coins in here, so buckle up for those. Here we have a Jefferson head, a very fine 20. Again, these were not a US Mint product. These were specimens, essentially. I forget the name of the minter who was trying to get the contract for minting US coins when the early mint was not doing well fiscally. And luckily, they kept the US Mint going and did not give the contract to this guy. But yeah, not a particularly nice depiction of liberty in my estimation. I don't like anything. I don't like anything about this. But they're really, really collectible, very cool, very rare coins. 168,000 for this one. Here we go. Walt's missing fraction bar, Sheldon 64. Again, shielded hair obverse. This one has got more dentillation than we would usually expect to see in this area. I'll have to talk with Ray Medhurst and see what his thoughts are on this particular coin, but it is nearly centered. So in one of my earlier videos, a few videos ago, we talked about how this shielded hair obverse is always heavily shifted down to here with very strong dentals here and like none up here. There's one known on perfectly centered dies that is very late die state, also a Sheldon 64. This obverse was used on 64, 65, and NC for non-collectible 6. This one's very early die state. It picks up a crack through D early on. Look at those double dentals. What in the world are we even seeing there? That's wild. Huh. That's really neat. Then they sort of get back to normal up there. There was definitely some mystery surrounding the die alignment adjustment on the shielded hair obverse. And again, this is like the second known that's not fully shielded down there. So we have a second example, nowhere near the same die state as the other one we've talked about, where we have shielded hair obverse that is not presenting as the heavy shielding that we usually see. So we talked about how this is the missing fraction bar variety. And there it is. The fraction bar is missing. Super nice coin. Let's take a look at it a couple of times. Here we are. Little spots under the eye. We'll cinch that for us. So this is the no fraction bar. Choice glossy medium brown and light chocolate with underlying faded mint color peeking through in the protected areas. Lustrous and very attractive with sharp devices and trivial defects. The surfaces are smooth with slightly reflective fields. The usual roughness near the dentals at the lowest curl is microscopic, far less obvious than on the only other mint state example known. Small spot of dark toning under the eye in Liberty, tick in the field before the throat and a spot of dark toning, and the leaf over the left of the wreath stem are noticeable defects, and they are insignificant. Early die state, Heck die state 1, Breen die state 1, uncracked reverse. The missing fraction bar feature is obvious, oftentimes it's not. Graded MS62, and finest known in the noise census book, his photo 21405. We'll go look at that. Bland says MS67 proof-like in condition census 1. Bob Grellman's calling this one EAC MS63 Plus. It's plated in the 1923 Chapman book as well as in the 1991 noise reference, Dr. Sheldon's Early American Sense and Penny Whimsy, and the 1979 Morley Grading Guide. Beautiful scent, clearly the finest of this popular Red Book, new Red Book variety. The attribution and Husak collection provenance are noted on the PCGS Gold Shield label. PCGS population 1, none finer. X, John G. Mills, SH&H Chapman, George Earl Jr., Henry Chapman, Clarence Bement, Henry Chapman, Howard Newcomb, J.C. Morgenthau, Dr. William Sheldon, Ted Nafsker, Eric Striner, Dr. Alan Bennett, Walt Husak, 2, Chris McCauley, then back to Walt Husak. Walt owned this one twice. Let's see. I don't want to miss out showing it off in Morley. I have a Morley coin and I have his book. So this is going to be obverse 32. Get me there. Obverse 32. And this is it right there. Little dot under the I in Liberty, MS65. Very cool. And let's see it featured here in Bill Noyes' book. Here it is with our little spot under the I. Condition Census 1, Husak. Very cool. And here it is here, showing off the perfect die state. That is our same coin. Fantastic example. $210,000.
Some of the 1794s, I've actually sold a few. My problem is now, how am I going to go and recover some of the other ones if I can bring them up for sale? We do have a poster of 12 coins. And these are the Sheldon 37. We were on display in 2006 in St. Louis. And everybody, Al Boca made this photograph and put each people's names on there. Then we got actually every person to sign on their coin. The ANS was on here, the first, finest known, and the last bad one. And Robert Hogue actually signed that for them. And it'd be very interesting to have all, like 12 of them at one table at one time, because these are so sought after and rare. There's only like around 17 to 18 of them known.
Here is a backwards photo of a 1799/8 drape bust XF 40 Brown. I think we can look at it facing the right direction here. There we go. 1799/8. Again, these are very tough. This is one of the 2 key dates for drape busts. This one's going to cost you $236,300 from Rare Coin Wholesalers. What's next? Let's do this one first and then jump into our Liberty caps. Another 1799 drape bust. This one's an XF 45 Brown, $267,800. A nice example for a 1799. Okay, let's start off with the Sheldon 61. Look at this thing. Just under $250,000. And lots of red. Tons of red. We got some clash marks here from the hair on the reverse. Just immaculate. Again, this has to be a St. Oswald coin. Some clash marks right up in here. This is gonna have that severed lock floating out here. That's one of my tells for this particular obverse. And let's see if it's in Walt's book, huh? This has got to be it. It's definitely it. See this little scratch right there? Little scratch right there. Let's check it out. So this is the finest known Sheldon 61. Lustrous, light steel brown and chocolate with mellowed mint red, covering about 15% of the planchet, mostly on the reverse. Frosty and nearly flawless with only trivial flaws. Only notable marks are a faint meandering hairline scratch in the field before the throat. We were just talking about that. And a small puff of darker toning, but not carbon, in the wreath. We'll take a look at that. Planchet's quite nice. Late die state, Heck die state 3, Breen die state 3. Strong clash marks under LIB and Liberty. We just talked about those. Sharply struck, and the eye appeal of this scent is exceptional. Graded MS65 choice and condition census 1 in the noise census. We'll check out that photo. Blend also had it MS65. Bob's going to call it EAC grade MS64 plus. So this one is James McAllister, Milton Holmes, Stax, Dorothy Pascal, Gordon Rubel, Tom Morley, John Adams, Lester Merkin, Marvin Teichert, Thomas Turricini, and then the Liberty Cap Foundation. And it looks like the John Adams, that was sold privately, so it won't be in the Adams catalog, which I do have if we end up seeing anything in Walt's collection that's attributed to Adams as well. In the pedigree, we'll pull that out. Wonderful. We're going to look at the dark spotted toning. That must be it right there. That's very, very trivial. Is that just some gunk? What's going on there? Anyway, remarkable coin, $246,800. And let's look at it here in noise. Yeah. That must be it. I wonder when that scratch was added. Let's see. I'm gonna double check again what the number was for that plate. 39625. 39625. That's it right there. It shows a little bright spot under the chin. That's going to be the same coin. A little bright spot under the chin. There's our little corrosion spot over there, right here. So we're lining that up. That is there. The bright spot under the chin is, okay, it's that right there. This scratch right there, man, I really don't see it. I really don't see it. It looks like that's been added since 1991. You know, be careful with your coins because you can't take that scratch off. Such a lovely coin. That was a fun one to look at. Jumping over here to the Sheldon 49. This looks like a Husak coin to me as well, so let's check it out. Sheldon 49, MS65, red, brown, CAC. Little damage there, little damage there. This is gonna have our closed wreath reverse. So there's where the wreath is closed. You're always gonna have that tightly tucked right ribbon tail. Immaculate on the reverse. Obverse is lovely, just has a couple of little issues. A couple marks on the face. Lots of mint red peeking through. Early die state, this one does pick up a crack on one side or the other of E there. So let's read about it in Walt's catalog. Assuming it's in here. That's me being presumptuous. Yep, I mean, presumptuous, but right. X St. Oswald as well. So this is the second of the St. Oswalds that we've seen, at least that I've noted so far. Superb lustrous mint red fading to steel brown with mellowed mint color showing in the fields and protected areas on both sides. The surfaces are satiny and the eye appeal of this scent is spectacular. The only marks are an irregular nick in the field under the cap, a microscopic planchet flake over the end of the nose, a tiny tick or punch on the leaf off the top of the O and 1. Planchet flaws around united. Remainder of the planchet is smooth. Early to mid die state, Heck die state 2, Breen state 1 with fine die clash marks but no cracks. Plate coin in noise. And it's in the Morley book as well. MS65 choice and the finest known by 15 points in the noise census. His photo 21318, we'll look at that. Bland called it an MS62. And Bob Grellman's calling this one MS65. Another spectacular scent from the St. Oswald group of mint state scents. Attribution is noted on the PCGS Gold Shield label. PCGS population 1, none finer. So Sheldon 49, obverse. Let's look at it in here. Back one page, here we are, mint state 60. That is the same coin right there. You can see a little bright spot above the nose. You can see that above the nose here. Sweet. And There we are, little scuff there, little spot above the nose. So that's our plate coin. There it is yet again. There it is again. MS65 net MS60 choice, Oswald. Fantastic. Through TT, which should be Terry Terranova. Tony Terranova? Tony Terranova. I think I've said that wrong a couple times. My bad. $273,000 for this top pop. Sheldon 49. All right. We have got 4 coins left before the bonus content. Let's check out this Sheldon 57, which is our pyramidal head. This is late die state with the rare serpent's tongue crack sticking out of Liberty's mouth. You can see how many flow lines and how worn this die is. Very cool. I've talked about how I don't see flow lines all that often in 1794s, but part of that could be that not many of them survive in a high enough grade to really see them. This one definitely has lots of flow lines. Reverse is lovely. There's some sort of bright red peeking out of the fraction there. And I assume this is going to be one of Walt's. Sheldon 57. It is. It is. So you've got this sort of dark spot through L and I. There it is right there. We've got the late die state crack right there with a little buckle right there. Here's a spot under the cap right here that looks like it might have been addressed, along with this nick. We can see that there and a little ding next to it. Definitely the same coin. Ex-Oswald Pogue, finest known. Lustrous mint red fading to steel brown with a 20% of the planchet showing mellowed mint color. Satiny and nearly flawless with superb eye appeal, a puff of darker toning under LI. Tiny nick hidden in the hair above the ear. Thin planchet flaw in the hair below BE are notable defects. Reverse is flawless. Late die state, Heck die state 5, Breen die state 6, with a die crack inside the lower trench that extends from the mouth to the rim. Noise graded this one MS65 choice, tied for condition census 1. His photo that we'll look at is 21180. MS64 and condition census 1 and Del Bland's census. And then Bob Grellman's grading this one MS65. This is the noise plate coin for the variety in the book we're about to look at. And attribution and Lord St. Oswald and Brent Pogue collection provenance are noted on the PCGS slab. Population 1, none finer. The slab is badly scuffed. Slabs. So Strickland and all the way through the Lord St. Oswald family. Dorothy Pascal, Dr. Sheldon had this one. Ted Nafsker had this one. Many familiar faces there. Walt Husak has had it more than once. Let's pull out the pyramidal head in here. Here we are. There it is. This is the subject coin. And it should be our first one there. These are both Oswald. So these two coins lived together for a very, very long time. I was wondering how anyone could beat an Oswald coin or tie it, but that's the answer is another Oswald coin tied it. There's our dark spot. This would be the same coin right here. Very cool. $288,800 for this coin. Jefferson head. Very fine 30. A lovely coin. $315,000. This is a 1795 cent. I'm not going to have it in noise because I only have noise 1793 and 4, but certainly we can look at it in Walt's catalog. So we go from 73 to 75 in this catalog. Let's see if it's in the previous one, Sheldon 74. Be in here, and there's a reason I pulled this out. 75, 74. Is that it? Looks like it could be. Looking for a little vertical scratch. There, yep, there it is. So that little scratch right there is that little scratch right here. So this would have been in Walt's 2008 sale. This is an amazing example with considerable original mint red color over medium brown surfaces that exhibit traces of pale blue toning. Original mint red color is even visible within the edge lettering. Aside from typical planchet imperfections not struck out when this piece was minted, there are no blemishes of any sort. This is essentially a flawless gem early scent. And it's really nice. We have the circumference crack that I am now saying correctly, going all the way around the circumference of the reverse. If you didn't see that, let's go right through it. We're tracing it. We're still tracing it, following it with my finger here. Look at that crack going all the way around the circumference. Stopping right there, picking up right there. Neat. Really neat. A wonderful coin. She got a little bit of a mold there, but just lovely. Lovely, lovely coin. $334,500. So this is the last of our $500,000 budget coins. This 1793 beaded border Liberty Cap. Let's see what we can find about it. Oh, by the way, that's Walt. Walt was in aerospace. He and his wife Patricia are photographed here, and Walt was, wildly financially successful, and it takes people like Walt of very, very high means who are also, very serious numismatists to provide proper care for coins like this that almost nobody watching this video could ever afford to curate. But if you are in a position, if you happen to be watching this and you're a very successful multi-millionaire, reach out. If you would like to bounce around collecting early copper with me, I would be glad to discuss it with you if you're looking at it as an investment. So this would not be in Walt's sale here. Really the only 93 cap that he had was this Sheldon 14. Let's see if it happened to be in his first sale. Don't see it there. So this is going to be a Sheldon 13. Rich Weber was previewing this video for me because I had the boys in 94 check this out before I made it public. And here's the coin we're looking at right here. Colonel Green collection. And it's just a fantastic coin. I had trouble finding it because I thought it would rank a bit higher in the census. But there it was, tucked down there near the bottom. And it's showing position 12 and 13, but just fantastic. I mean, in terms of eye appeal, I think this is one of the nicest Sheldon 13s out there. So thank you, Rich, for helping me figure this one out. That was it. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to jump into Rare Coin Wholesalers inventory, and I'm going to show you 2 more coins. So first of our bonus coins over $500,000 is this 1793 half cent. It's a Cohen 2. It is an MS65 brown in a CAC slab. And this thing is glorious. The second nicest that we have seen of this 1793 cap had a lot of corrosion built up in the wreath. This one has no such issues. This is an amazing coin. Absolutely amazing coin. There's not going to be a description, nothing. I can't tell you much more about it other than that it's $577,500 if you would like it, and it's in one person's cart, so you better get after it. That was our first bonus coin. The last bonus coin is a pattern, and I know we weren't going to look at patterns, but in this case, it's a pattern cent. So it's directly on topic. Over $500,000, over $1 million, over $1.5 million. We're talking $1.575 million for this silver-centered J1 birch cent. Liberty, parent of science and industry. With that silver plug center, I just got one of these. Hey, look at that. Bam! It's one of those, only it's real. And this one was like 30 or 40 bucks, and this one is over $1.5 million. This one's a Gallery Mint Museum replica that Ron Landis made during his lifetime, and I think it's really cool. I just got it in the mail like yesterday and haven't even really looked at it. It's just sitting on my desk. Let's inspect this one. The most trivial of tiny wipes here and there and tiny, tiny little scratches. That, I don't know if that was a corrosion spot that was addressed or if that was a planchet problem. There's a couple of similar little spots here and there. Portrait's wonderful. A little bit of stuff going on the forehead there. Sort of a vertical scuff right there from what I can tell. There's that silver plug right there on the reverse. This is such a neat coin that I thought I would save it for us for the end as a treat. This is what you can get for a shade over $1.5 million. Description: silver centered cent Judd 1 PCGS MS61 brown. And we're gonna go ahead and look at the generic description here, even though it's not about this particular coin. But the pieces referred to by the catch-all title of patterns are among the rarest coins. Blah blah blah. This doesn't actually tell us anything. All right, that doesn't tell us anything. Okay, this is how we're gonna wrap it up. This is what you can get for $1.5 million, and there's not many coins in the above $500,000 range, so I thought I would just include them as bonus content here. But I have thoroughly enjoyed going through this series with you all, from everything from $50 all the way up to $1.575 million. What we've learned is that there is copper for every budget and every collector. Don't think that just because you're not made of money that you can't collect early American copper coins with dignity and enjoyment, because you can. Again, we saw $50 coins that were a lot of fun. We saw super nice coins for 500 bucks. If you're willing to spend a couple $1,000s, you can get nice early date coins. So there is truly a budget for anyone and everyone. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about Walt Husak and a little bit about some of his coins. I'm just going to sort of thumb through a few of these real quick. Look at that shattered obverse. Walt had just the greatest stuff, and Walt was able to enjoy selling his collection.
Unfortunately, I didn't bring any coins because I sold my collection, and the coins I do have, I left them downstairs. These young people are looking at my collection, which is on the Liberty Cap Foundation website. And this collection, I sold off in 2008, and I still have the sense of taking photographs of them and enjoying them today.
And I'm sure that Walt took some enjoyment in his first sale and passing some of these coins on to their new owners. This is also a fantastic collection. Most of what we were looking at today was from the second sale, which occurred a couple of years after Walt's passing in 2022. So looking back at his first sale here, I know that several of these are Dennis Loring chain scents. In fact, I think 3 of the 4. Yep, this is a Dennis Loring S1. The S2 was not. The S3 was a Dennis Loring coin, as was the S4. So 3 of 4 of Walt's chain scents came from the Dennis Loring collection. If you haven't seen my interview with Dennis, it's well worth your time. But one thing that I've noticed is that Walt's first sale that he talked a lot about in the clips that we watched, fantastic coins, just absolutely fabulous coins. And, he kept the photos. You can always view these photos over at largesense.net. Tom Deck has the photographs from the first sale archived there. Beautiful coins. I recognize this one. That one I saw in Noise. That's, I want to say it's Condition Census 1 or 2. There it is. That's it. Condition Census 2. Finest photographed. Yeah, there it is. That's the plate coin as well. We could spend a lot of time talking about Walt's coins. And you know what? Maybe we will spend a lot of time sometime other than just in this video talking about Walt's coins, because they really do deserve the study. Fantastic. Oh, here it is. I was just looking at a photo inset. So, second finest Sheldon 13 Liberty Cap scent. Just glorious. Dark colored. One thing that I've noticed, that was another 14 that he had. I liked his next one better, but incredible. One thing I've noticed is that Walt's second sale was decidedly made up of even finer coins than his first one. So Walt put together this magnificent collection. Look at that shattered obverse. And then he went on to build an even greater one. And those were the coins that we were looking at today. Finest known S33 wheel spoke. Wonderful. All of these coins are going to be plated in that Noise book. Just everything that Walt had was incredible. But again, notice the theme. These are mostly dark colored high grade coins. And then watch what happens when we go back. Lots of bright colors. Lots of reds and browns. Not much black to speak of. Truly an incredible collection. Thanks again for taking the time to sit down and go through the finest copper you can buy on the market today, and also taking a look at some of Walt Husak's coins, because many of the greatest early coppers out there on the market came out of this collection. I'm just going to keep previewing back to the beginning, which is going to lead us to our outro. Gosh, I love this coin. Because as we've discussed, you may be familiar as I was saying, you may be familiar with Walt's S1, which is right here. Peace.